Hello, it's good to see you. If you aren't aware yet, I just released an album last month, and it's called Under the Willow. If you want to go listen to it, I'll have links to my streaming services down in the description. In addition to that, I also decided to release an album that I had been sitting on for well over a year now. It's called Discolored. You can also listen to that. It's on my Spotify. But now that my creative plate is finally clear after years of having all this work just stored on my hard drive and not doing anything with it, it's time for me to start working on another album. I just thought, why not document the process here on YouTube? We can go through it together. Maybe if you're struggling with writing music, I'll be able to help answer some of those questions, work you through the process, and yeah, I'll just document my whole journey towards writing another album. So yeah. So before I actually begin working on this album, I'm gonna need to start making a plan. What I'm trying to do here is I'm gonna try and use these first two albums as a foundation. I want to try and use those two to build an audience, to gain traction, so that hopefully this next album, which is going to be leagues above those first two, will actually have people who want to listen to it. So that's the plan there. I'm going to critique both of my albums that I already have out right now, and then create a structured practice routine to tackle all of those shortcomings, all the things that I feel like make those albums weaker than they could have been. And hopefully that's going to translate into new skills and better mixes, just making this next album far better than the first two. So what does my process actually look like then? Well, what I usually like to do when it comes to starting an album from scratch is I first start with an abundance of ideas. I will spend a couple of months writing guitar riffs, demoing them out, as many as possible, trying to find the best of my current ability as a musician. And then I will pick the ideas that make the most sense together, and then I will structure it in a way that flows nicely on the album. And after that, then I will actually go and write the songs and finish them out, fully flesh them out into tracks of their own. All the tracks that don't make the album, I'm going to release as singles and EPs, so that hopefully I can continue to release music along the way. So let's take a look at the albums that I already have out right now and figure out what was working and what wasn't working, so that I can try and intentionally improve those different aspects beyond just writing more music, so that we can tackle those flaws in my musicianship. The most notable thing for me, and this was a problem in both albums, is I definitely struggle with intonation as a singer.
Could you help me out this
I took hundreds of takes on every different song. If you watched the album release video that I put out, I think a couple weeks ago, you'll notice that especially while playing and singing, I was flat so often. Another problem that I faced on both albums was my drumming skills just really lacking. I had to do a lot of so much manual correction on both albums to get the drums to sound even somewhat tight. I don't have any problem with other people quantizing their drums, but for me, I don't really want to do that. I would really prefer to have tight live drums. So that's the goal. Another point that really bothered me, especially with Under the Willow, was I felt like the pacing was really subpar on that album. 3/4 of the way through the album, it really starts to drag. You get 3 songs in a row that are slow, like 80 BPM arpeggio heavy songs, and it just lacked variation. And the reason that I decided not to go back and fix that, because I noticed it when I released the album, was because I wrote it in a very sad and dark place that I've since grown out of. and I was just feeling really ready to just let it go and move on. I could really work on a song structure variation. This is something I feel like I struggled with on both albums as well. So now that I've got an idea of what I think I could improve on from the last 2 releases and what my shortcomings are as a musician, let's actually go into Google Sheets and create a practice routine for myself so that I can really hone in and lock in on those things that are holding me back as a musician and as a content creator so that I can achieve these goals. Okay, so here is a list of all of my goals that I want to work on as far as technique on my guitar, fretboard knowledge and theory on my guitar, my drumming skills, my singing skills, my content creation skills, everything that I am going to need in order to become the musician that I want to be and attract the audience that I would like to have for my music. This list is very extensive, and there's no way I'm going to be able to tackle all of these things every single practice. So I'm gonna pick 1 to 2 things from each category and put it into a practice log and stick with each exercise for a month or 2 or until I hit any goals that I set for myself. And then we'll just rotate through them so that hopefully by the end of it, I will have made progress in all of these different areas. All right, so here is what my practice log looks like. I've got the dates, so this should be a period of time that I'm hoping to hit a BPM goal for specific exercises. I've got the instrument that I'm gonna do it on. I've got the amount of time that I will do it per exercise, then the piece/exercise and the exercise type. And then I've got 3 different BPMs here. So how I like to practice is I like to give myself a wall. So what I'll do is as soon as I start a new exercise on my instrument, I will first try and find the fastest that I am able to play it without any strain, and I will call that my wall. Then when I start my exercise, I will start a timer and I will begin it at the start BPM, which is always 20 beats per minute under it. This will allow me to make sure that I'm starting at an easy and effortless speed, and I will bump the metronome up by 5 until I get to the wall. From there, I will only bump it up by a maximum of 3 beats per minute, and oftentimes I'll find myself going up 3, down by 2, up by 3, just sort of thinking about it like you're slowly shoving a wall forward, right? You don't want to push yourself so much that you get tennis elbow, or you don't want to have sloppy technique. So this, for me, I found to be the most effective way to gain speed and clarity in my playing. Then the last one is just going to be the goal. So this is what I hope to hit by the end of the date range. Let's take a look at my goals here and figure out exactly what it is that I'm going to tackle for the first one. The first thing that I'm wanting to tackle on guitar is my speed, my alternate picking speed, and incorporating new licks into my playing. I've definitely found myself in a rut recently when it comes to improvising. I also want to spend time on my fretboard knowledge and theory. What I've been working on recently is diatonic arpeggios. If you want to learn more about that, I'd be happy to make a video about it. I also already had an alternate picking lick that I've been working on, so I'm going to continue working on that one until I actually hit my goal of 110 beats per minute. Another thing that I have been noticing, especially in my playing, is that I lack chord progression knowledge. When I've been finding myself jamming with other people, I just end up playing the same 1 to 4 or 1 to 6, and I want to try and get some new chord progressions under my belt, and I also want to be able to use them spontaneously. Next, I really want to try and lock in my ear training a little bit more, so we're going to spend a little bit of time doing some interval training, and I'll just rotate that one probably every 2 weeks between interval training, chord progression identification, sight singing, transcribing licks and solos, stuff like that. We'll just keep that as like a rotating exercise. Let's move on to drums. So let's just start out my drum practice with a classic rudiment warm-up. I've also been working on the song Sober by Tool. I also recently just bought a drum course from a YouTuber named Zach Grooves. I love his channel. Zach, if you ever happen to stumble across my channel, much love. I appreciate your work. You are a fantastic, fantastic creator. I believe the course is called 20 Chops to Get You Fired from Any Gig. Okay, so I've got 30 minutes on drums, 30 minutes on guitar. Let's move on to vocals. First thing is just a classic warm-up. I've got a Spotify playlist for all of my warm-ups. And then I think we're just going to split 5 minutes of intonation exercises and 5 minutes of vibrato exercises. Okay, and the last couple of things that I'm going to need to work on actually aren't on my instruments. That's going to be working on my editing skills so that my YouTube videos are better, working on my Photoshop skills so that I can actually, make album art and have a more defined and clear brand, and then working on my production skills. So if we take a look at Reaper, which is the DAW I use, I'll show you that I basically have been using a bunch of presets that I spent time making. This is over the course of me making my first 2 albums. I pretty much just watched a bunch of tutorials and practiced using compressors and EQs and all that sort of jazz. And I came up with presets and I was able to just copy and paste it for the whole album. So what I'm going to try to do to improve my mixing skills is I'm going to take the demo that I write. I'm going to first have it mixed with the presets that I've made over the last couple of years. Then I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to delete everything and I'm going to mix it from absolute scratch and try and make it sound better than the presets that I spent years working on. And I think that through doing that, through just mixing from scratch and comparing it to the last one, seeing if it's better, etc., I'm hoping that that's going to really help further my production skills. I'm probably only going to give myself like a half hour to mix it from scratch, get good at mixing and get good at mixing fast. So let's give that a shot. Let's see how that works. All right, here we have it. This is my practice routine that I'm going to try to get done every single day. Let's take a look at how long this actually is. Okay, I've got just over 2.5 hours of practice a day. Well, I'm gonna try to do it every day. I'll do it every day that I can. Okay, let's pause for a second here. 2.5 hours is a really long time to be practicing every day, especially with a job and with trying to make content every week. So I'm actually gonna cut this practice in half and just do 1 hour and 15 every day and just swap back and forth. I'm really excited to have you all along on the journey of me creating an album and trying to become a musician for a living. It's my dream and I've wanted it so bad for so long, and I finally feel like I'm feeling confident enough to put in the effort necessary, especially when it comes to networking and doing the content creation stuff, which is all still a little bit new and scary to me. So I really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel, I'd really appreciate you liking and subscribing. If you also have any interest in music lessons, you can go to my website, salimreggieraymusic.com/lessons. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night or evening or whatever time of day it is for you. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I should probably stop talking and leave, so I'm going to go now. Okay, bye.